The Creation and Recreation of Venus by Magali Jimenez. In this presentation, we will have an overview and description of the painting of Titian's Venus of Urbino, an overview and description of the painting of Manet's Olympia, a compare and contrast, and a historical and cultural context as well. In this picture here, this is what the Venus of Urbino by Titian, which was painted in 1538. The medium on this painting is oil on canvas. The subject matter on this particular painting, in my opinion, is considered portrait. As you could see, Venus is laying down and facing or looking directly at the viewers, as well as you could see in the background as well. But mostly what kind of gets your attention first is Venus. The composition of this particular artwork, I consider it to be light and bright colors to focus the woman's beauty. The style, I believe it's to be realism, as this painting was done to commemorate Guibaldo's marriage, which celebrated marital love and the physical intimacy between a man and wife. The expressive contact, I believe, is to be love. This is Manet, picture of Olympia. It was painted in 1863. The medium on this painting will be oil paint on canvas. The subject matter, I believe this to be as a portrait. This particular painting, as well as the Venus, you could see the woman sitting on looking directly at the viewers, which is something also that was the same in the painting of Venus. The composition of this painting, I would say, in my opinion, is both light and bright colors and dark and dull colors. Bright and light colors towards the painting where Olympia is at, and a little bit of dark and bold colors towards the background where the maid is at and the cat is located. The style of this painting I believe to be realism. The expressive content, I see a secure woman without flaws or insecurities. By doing a comparing and contrast of these two paintings, I can say that both of these portraits are based of white women. They both symbolize female sexuality. And even though there are two different authors, both of these authors have or want to express their own point of view. Also, in these two paintings, both of them have an animal and both of them have a maid. In a contrast, I determined this to be, for example, the Venus painting, the maid is white, versus in Olympia's painting, the maid is black. There's also, in the Venus painting, there was a dog versus the cat that was done by Manet. In Venus, what I could take off this picture is that the way she was painted was as a clean, maybe high-class person, versus Olympia, that the dark shaded areas looked like it was a little bit more dirty, or maybe considered as a lower class person. There's also another thing that I saw that brought to my attention. For the painting in Venus, there's a lot of perfections, everything, her curves, the way it was so bright that it looks like that was what Titian was trying to point out. Perfection versus reality. What Manet painted was, yes, there's women's sexuality, but there's different kind of body types, and as what I see in particular on this painting is what perfection would be versus what the actual reality is painted by Manet. Olympia was obtained by France in 1890. It was first exhibited in the Paris Salon, and now it's in the Musée d'Orsay in Paris. Olympia was not acceptable in the controversial society back in the 19th century due to the nudity of the particular painting, and that was something that was frowned upon back in the 19th century. Manet based the composition of his painting on the Venus of Urbino by Titian. This painting is what inspired him to paint his version of a women's sexuality or female sexuality back in the time. Venus of Urbino was considered also a controversial art just because of the same thing, because of the nudity. Titian was considered a master of Renaissance art due to the remarkable use of color in his artwork, which also spanned all major genres, including church altarpieces, mythological paintings, portrait art, and pastoral landscape. Venus of Urbino was actually painted for the Duke of Urbino, which first he was known as the Duke of Camerino Gudibaldo della Rovere, but then again later became Duke of Urbino. Venus was influenced by an earlier work or earlier artwork called The Sleeping Venus, which was painted in 1510 by Giardini. And with this, I conclude this presentation. Thank you.